Hi there, it's Chef Martin in the ThermoWorks demo courtyard. I'm here today with Rusty Monson. He's the head cook at Salt City BBQ and the host of the Pitmaster podcast. And today we're going to be cooking some ribs.
Yes, we are.
So, Rusty, what do we have and what are we going to do?
Well, right here we have your traditional St. Louis cut. We're just going to do a basic backyard, what everyone can do, which you could call Texas style, heavy on the salt and pepper. So we're just going to kind of run through how the process I do in my backyard goes. We smoke on a Salt City drum smoker, and kind of goes a little hot and fast. Can do it a little bit faster than 5 hours. Sometimes 2 to 3 hours is all it takes. So what we're going to start with is just going to trim up the meat for you, show you what I would do with what I have here.
Okay. So are these in pretty good shape, or how much trimming do they need?
They need a pretty good amount. So you kind of got to imagine when they're sitting on top of the smoker, so you have little flappies, right? That's just going to kind of hang down on the grill.
Right.
So you want to get rid of that.
That's going to be a burny little bit that nobody wants.
Exactly. A lot of fat right here, which I'm a big fan of, but you know, some people aren't. So we'll trim that off just for the people, you know. And then that's it. A lot of people will take the membrane off. I'm not going to. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and get any kind of flap that I can and just kind of take that off. Now, I am not going to go crazy. I just want to get it off enough where this big old piece isn't hanging down.
Okay, nice. That'd be weird to eat anyways. It wouldn't like cling to the bone the right way and stuff.
Plus,
right?
it burns.
It burns.
You know, burning is not what we're trying to do here.
Burned and yep.
Anything that has a lot of fat. So this is a really big fat, a lot of fat there. So I'm going to take that off. I'm just going to kind of poke, or pull, I should say, because I just want to get all that stuff off.
Okay.
So that looks good to me. I'm going to flip them over. Got a little straggly there. Again, with this fat here, I just want to take that off.
So like a little bit of a fat cap, we can reduce that down.
Yeah. If it's just a little bit, that's going to come right off.
Yeah, okay, that looks nice.
Again, I love fat, so I like to keep a little on. If you don't like fat, feel free to just take it all off. I am not crazy on my trims. In the competition world, you want to be super crazy. At home, I can kind of just do whatever.
Yeah, so if you're cooking for you, for your family, for some guests, it's a different world than trying to beat 200 people at a barbecue competition.
Yep. So a barbecue competition, again, a little different. So I say that because it's fun for me to go home and literally feel good about, you know, just trimming whatever and then calling it a day.
Yeah.
So let's see here. I think we're good to go.
Okay. So what do we do next? We're gonna season these, obviously. How do you like to season?
All right. So I like to put a binder on these. Now we get a paper towel. It's important to take off the juice that came in the vacuum seal. I don't want any of that on here because I'm going to do a binder that helps that a lot. If you don't pat this down and it's too wet, it's going to gunk up. You're going to lose, you want every bite to have some flavor into it, and that could help move, it's going to not be consistent. So you really want to get that dried off. I like to have a clean hand, even though I do glove up my clean hands. If I'm going to grab a bottle, if I'm going to grab a shaker, I want to have no meat juice on it. So my right hand is designated as my clean hand. I use mustard. So a lot of things I see home cooks do is they'll bind with mustard, but they use way too much.
Okay. So how much do we want then?
I would say literally.
Oh, you got like that's like a teaspoon on one side of the ribs.
You can see that right there.
That's way less than I've used it in the past. I've been doing this wrong.
So all I want is a sheen. I almost don't even want to see the mustard. So I'm gonna massage that, and I did the hand, so just throw her, you know, clean hand. So literally a sheen. That's all you need.
Okay, we just kind of want to tint it yellow, sort of.
Yeah. So we're gonna go no gloves here, so I don't forget.
And that glove, no glove thing, that's a good food safety tip. Because if you go around grabbing bottles with a meaty hand, later on you might handle that at the table or something. Unless you want to soap down all your bottles after you've used them. it's a really good idea.
So my seasoning here is about, a lot of Texas style rubs are 2 parts pepper, 1 part salt. What this is it's a little less than 2 parts pepper. I don't want to go too much pepper on it. That's just my personal preference. I use a cafe grind, which is about a 16 mesh.
Okay.
It's pretty complicated.
It's
just get some coarse grind pepper. I also put a little bit of garlic, a little bit of onion in there, and some paprika for color. And that's how I like to do it. That's what this rub is. So I just make this at home, super simple. And I'm gonna kind of come across this way. A lot of people go long ways, it's not as consistent. So if you're going this way, you're gonna miss a lot of spots. Always start with this end here and kind of come this way. Like this, kind of like a, I don't know, like this. Kind of like one of these things.
You're being very liberal with it, but you're not missing. You're not wasting a lot onto the board. I see.
Try not to.
Yeah,
of course. So you'll see this is kind of what I'm looking for here. I don't want a lot, but I don't want too little either. You can definitely overdo it with ribs, as far as seasoning goes. Especially with something that is a lot of pepper. You can get some pepper burn in here, and some people don't like pepper burn.
I like pepper burn.
I like it too.
Pepper burn.
Most people don't, though. My wife included. Again, not a lot.
So you don't even have enough on there, but between the binder and the natural moisture in the ribs, you're sprinkling enough on that when you lift it up, nothing's falling off.
No, nothing will fall off.
So you haven't caked so much on there that there's excess.
Right, and that's not what you want. It's not about, you want a little bit of that meat to shine through. That's very important. You can definitely overdo it, underdo it with ribs, any kind of meat. So you want to watch what you're doing as far as the seasoning goes. And so I'm going to flip these over like so. Again, if you were to use a lot of that juice that's naturally in your ribs, you'll have a hard time getting it consistent, it to stay consistently. So again, just a littlest bit of mustard.
That's
little bit. So if you put too much on it, it'll cake up. And it also won't stick as well. So it will kind of like get kinky. When you go to spray it, you can actually go spray the rub off. So it's actually worse for it to put binder on it if you're going to gunk it up. So again, and I always want to kind of do this because that salt really wants to settle. So I'm always shaking this up.
To make sure you're getting an even mix of the seasonings.
Yeah. I'm kind of obsessive compulsive about shaking it actually, so you'll see me do it a lot. One thing I do is you want to go far away from the rib. That way it falls evenly. So if I'm down like this, it's going to
just be piled in that one place.
It'll be piled up. So I go about a half foot above it, depending on the wind.
That's a really nice coat there, yeah.
Yeah. So again, not a whole lot.
Yeah, nothing fell off of that.
Nothing fell off. We're still good on the back. This is clean down here.
I've been seasoning my ribs wrong. So we do have some wind here, so that is affecting it a little bit.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
If you want to, I always do like a little test on the side and kind of come in like this. So I get a good
just gauge the wind kind of
shake, yeah, where I need to be. I've been in wind before where I'm literally shaking it out here. It's falling down perfectly. Just kind of adjust, guys. Barbecue is about adjusting. There's never, when you're playing with live fire, when you're playing with different elements and different meats, because every meat's a different animal, this whole thing, this pig here is different than this pig, and they're gonna cook differently.
Yeah.
So it's all about adjusting. It's all about seeing what you can do and making adjustments. So that's it.
Okay.
And again, you don't want to rub. I know this is a rub. They should call it pats.
A barbecue pat.
A barbecue pat. Because that's what you're doing is you're barbecue patting it. So you just want to pat it down, because if you rub it, you're going to lose that consistency that you just shook on. So the whole point of getting this on is to get it on very evenly and evenly coated, but when you rub it, you take that away. So you literally just want to pat it down, like so.
Just press it into the meat and into the binder.
And that's it. Normally you can let this sit if you guys want to. I've let it sit all the way overnight. I prefer an hour, but 90% of the time, I literally just throw it on the pit.
Right.
So that's what we're gonna do now, but I wanna kind of talk a little bit about wood.
Okay.
So, just like salt and pepper here, okay? Our wood is salt and pepper.
It's a seasoning for the meat, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
It's a seasoning. So this is a big chunk of hickory. I would not use this on my ribs because the rib is not a big meat. I might use this on a brisket. So you got to look at, like, if this is salt, just pure salt, am I going to dump all that salt on this rib? No. Would I dump this on the rib? Probably. So you got to look at it that way. Right here, I've got hickory, which is way too much wood for me. I would not cook even this on this. Right here, I've got pecan, which is basically a hickory kind of wood in flavor.
They're close cousins, the trees are.
They are. And they're not as potent, I guess. Cherry wood for me is a lot of color, so I like to put it in, especially for ribs. So for today, we're literally gonna go with 2 pecan woods and 1 cherry. Really monitor your wood, guys. I see a lot of people ruining good barbecue with their wood because they don't understand that it's part of the flavoring. It's part of the steps. So when I look at how much seasoning I'm gonna put on, I also wanna look on how much wood I'm gonna put on. And this is all I'm gonna need for a 2-hour cook on my ribs.
So if I was like cooking a steak or something, maybe just like one of these.
If you're cooking a steak, I love hickory on steak. This is all I would use. This is it. I weigh these out. This is 1 ounce, so I go by ounces. So today we're gonna use 3 ounces, 2 ounces of pecan, 1 ounce of cherry, if you wanna get super technical about it.
So this would be for like a brisket where I'm going for like a long time. There's lots of meat and I can handle a lot of smoke on there. That's gonna be fine. Great, fantastic.
So,
okay, so we've got your drum smoker here sitting at 286. Is that where we want it to be pretty much?
So I want it to be between 287 and 285. Or 275 and 285, sorry. And that's kind of where I roll on these. So these Salt City drum smokers are really, really good backyard cookers because you can really, really dial them in on lower temperatures. I actually have cooked bacon at 225 on these, which is kind of unheard of if you're into barrel drum smoking. So I like to go a little hot. I like to get it up there a little bit because when you open the lid and put these on, you're gonna lose a lot of that temperature. So I'd like to start high, come low, and then get right back up here. So if I'm at 275 and that's where I want to cook and I put them on, I'm going to dip way too low and it's going to be harder to get back up. So I want to start here and go to 275. Okay, so I'm going to put 3 of these in. I'm just going to drop them right on top of the fire.
So right in the center of the heat.
As close as I can. I drop them literally on the heat, very literally on the heat.
Okay.
So I'm going to put this back together. So with barrels, they're a little different as far as temperature goes. So I definitely like to keep my Smoke X on there to keep that temperature going so I can monitor it right here always in case it gets away from me, especially in a competition setting. What I like about this for the home cook is that I have this. So it's 1.2 miles, but in my house, I can go down to my basement and I can actually have this. So it's super nice. But when my barrel's going, a lot of things can happen with barrels. Wind can come in and it can really heat up your smoker without you knowing it. Or it can die down for various reasons depending on your charcoal. So having this with me it's crucial. I have to have my Smoke X connected to it all the time.
Fantastic.
So, and it monitors my temperature. So right now,
yeah, we're up a little high right there because it got a lot of air in there.
It's okay. So again, a lot of people worry about getting the exact temperature. It's not that big of a deal. As long as you're within that range most of the time, it's fine. It's totally fine. Now, I don't want to be up at 500 degrees and putting my ribs on, but I will stick these on right now.
Okay. Now, I noticed these are a little thicker at one end than the other end. Is that going to be a problem? Is there something we need to do about that, or is that okay?
So when I put them on the pit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of squish them together. So once
kind of accordion it in?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me show you right here. So when I lay it on, it's going to cook how I put it on. So I want to make sure it's straight, and then I take each end and I kind of push it in. And I kind of make it even. Same with this one. What that's going to do is give you a little bit of even cook, because right here...
that raises the meat level up just a little bit, makes it a little thicker there.
Yep.
I see.
Competition, I'd actually cut this off.
But for a home cooking, there's no reason to waste that meat.
No need to do that. So now, see, I don't know if you can see this here, but this is kind of flat, and then you push it, and now it's very voluptuous.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just like that.
Nice. Okay.
So that's how I'm going to put that on the pit, and I'm going to push them together and make sure that they're all good. So
let's do it. Is it time to do it?
Let's do it. We're good. We're going to have to hurry a little bit on this just because we're running a little hot. So again, right now I'm cording it up, straightening it. There we go. Same thing with this bad boy. Putting it in, straighten it, pushing it in. Now this, if you guys notice, is a very thin needle. I use this a lot for ribs and chicken. So
pass that through your port here real quick.
Oh yeah, perfect.
There you go.
That way you're not taking up too much real estate in your rib. Just going in, and I'm gonna go about halfway through there to about right there.
Shooting right for the thermal center on that rib slab.
Move that out of the way. I'm gonna put my pit temp back in. Right there.
All right.
Okay, we're at 79 right now. I'm gonna put that back up, and we're just gonna monitor that until it's 165. We will spritz here in about, I would say, 30 minutes. Other than that, we're just gonna monitor temperatures. So
fantastic. All right. We've been waiting 30-ish, 40-ish minutes. Yeah. Let's check the ribs and see if they need a spritz.
Okay. So inside here, I'll actually lift one up for you. They are doing pretty good. This is actually kind of moist right here. So I'm not gonna play with this one. This one, on the other hand, is getting a little on the dry side.
Okay.
So I have this, is actually an oil spritzer. But I use it because it's super, you'll see right now, I can just do a good spritz with this. I'm gonna give it a good little thing. What this does is helps moisture. It also will attract a little bit more smoke to it because this is colder than this.
Smells good.
Cold will actually I'm gonna spritz this end. So the thing with spritzing is that I'm not trying to spritz just haphazardly, like I said before. I wanna get dry spots. This whole one was dry. This one on the top was. I'm not gonna worry about the bottom. I'm feeling good with that. And now we're just gonna kind of monitor it until it gets to 165. We're at 152 right now, so it shouldn't be long before we wrap. So we're just gonna put this over and wait, and we'll see you guys in just a little bit.
All right, Rusty, we've got 165 on the ribs.
Yeah.
So what time is it now?
So 165, or when the bones start pulling away, whatever comes first. What I like to do at this point is I will take my probe out. Because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip these bad boys over, but I wanna give them one more spritz before they go down, because now my meat side is about to hit that flame real good. So I wanna kinda give them a little bit of a buffer, and I'll spritz the entire thing at this point. I wanna flip that rib over. I wanna take all these little weird spots and just kinda get rid of them at this point. There's a lot of them on this one.
Are those leftovers from the trimming, basically, or are they?
Yeah, they could be that. It could be just fat, whatever's coming out.
Stuff. Okay.
So now I'm going to take a vinegar-based sauce. This is a very, very heavy vinegar sauce that I make at home. It settles pretty good, so I'm going to give it a really, really good shake. Any vinegar sauce will do. You could also take your favorite barbecue sauce and put apple cider vinegar and half it. That's a good way to do it.
So we're looking for something that's kind of on the runny side, basically, though.
Yeah, it's got to be real runny. If you can see that, that's like coming out like
water,
almost like water.
Yeah,
And I don't want to go crazy here, but I'm going to pat all that in and kind of juice, get all that wet. I'm going to do the same thing on this rib here. Just kind of messy. It's all right.
Yeah.
Barbecue is messy. That's the best part. Cool. Now that I've flavored those with my sauce, I'm going to put them back on, and we're just going to do timing at this point. We're not worried about temperature. We're worried about how long. We're just going to set that sauce inside. That's all we're doing. So
about how long is that going to take us? 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm going to go 10 minutes on this.
We're just kind of basically trying to evaporate some water out of that.
Essentially.
Okay.
So we're going to stick that on. 10 minutes later, we're coming back, and then we're going to flip them and do the exact same thing. So we'll be back in just a minute.
Great. All right. It's been 10 minutes.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip this, take this lid off. We're just going to take the meat and flip it.
So yeah, a lot of that has evaporated out of there. So
Yeah,
we've left behind the flavor and the goodness, but not any of the water.
Right, and the water is just going to kind of bind to the meat, or the vinegar will. And I'm just going to kind of coat this on. And
do you ever use a mop? Is that something you find useful, or do you just like to use your hands?
I just like to use my hands. If you guys have noticed, all day I just use my hands. I don't use tongs. I use gloves instead. I guess it's just for the feel of it. I like to be able to feel the meat, and
it's more of a sensory experience.
Sensory experience, yeah. Or I just know that I'm getting everything on with a mop. I can probably do the same thing. I don't know. I just started doing that. So
cool.
It's kind of how I live, Hot. I could burn myself at any minute. I like to live dangerously. So no, just kidding. Whatever.
All right.
Okay, so now we've just coated this with the vinegar sauce, remember, always shake up everything, because especially with vinegar, it likes to settle at the bottom. So we coated that. We're gonna wait another 10 minutes, and then we're gonna go to the wrap. And so we'll see about 10 minutes, and then we'll wrap it up, and then hopefully we get close to be eating these things.
Sweet. It's been 10 minutes.
Yeah. So take the lid off of your drum.
Oh, those look beautiful.
So real quick, actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over here, I'm gonna take a spritz. I'm gonna spritz my tin foil that we have out here, just a little bit. I'm gonna take that vinegar sauce that we had earlier. I'm gonna just spritz a little, not a lot, really not a lot. You don't need a lot.
That looks like a tablespoon or two.
About that. So I'm gonna take my rib out, and there's our color on those. That's a perfect color for me. I'm loving every ounce of that.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna flip that meat side down.
So meat in the sauce.
Meat in the sauce. Now I'm gonna spritz the back. This is kind of the last time you're gonna be able to moisturize that. So one tip I like to do as far as wrapping these goes is my bones I want away from me. I'm gonna take this foil right here. I'm gonna wrap it just enough where it covers that bone, like this. And I wanna get everything real tight. I'm gonna take this end, I'm gonna push it down right here, and I'm gonna flip it over. That's gonna give me a double barrier on this side. Again, we're trying to get everything as tight as possible. So then I'll come in here, I want a double barrier right here. So if you can see that, right there.
Oh, nice little sauce there.
A little bit of sauce, that's no problem. We'll put a good amount on there. And then I take it, and I flip it. There's your rib. Now, on a normal cooker, I'm gonna go meat side down, okay? But on this drum, since it's my heat's right there, I'm gonna go meat side up. So, again, I'm gonna spritz real fast, shake the seasoning, or the sauce, sorry. Vinegar sauce, guys, shake, shake, shake.
Cool.
Take that off, good amount of, that's a really good color for me. I'm gonna set that down. I'm gonna spritz that back. Just a wee bit. Bones away from me. Wrap, pinch down. Pinch down here again. I'm giving myself a double barrier on the ends where anything can poke through. Because if it pokes through, your juice is gonna fly through and just land on those charcoals, and it's no bueno. And there you go. So we're gonna stick this on. I'm actually gonna put my probe back in.
Okay.
And now I use probes a little differently than most. I use them for two things. I wanna get to a certain temperature. When I'm done, I wanna be able to probe that and make sure that I'm probing into butter, essentially.
Right. Okay, yeah.
Now, I don't wanna sit there and poke it all the time and, oh, it's not even close. Let's try again. Oh, it's not even close. So I like to have my probe in to monitor that. And when it gets to about 200 degrees, 202, then I can start probing for that butter.
So basically you're using the leave-in probe to tell you when to start checking for texture.
Yeah. So with ribs, I'm gonna go to 202 degrees. And then or 200 degrees, 202, depending on the size of the rib. If it's a really thick one, I'm gonna probably go to 202. If it's a thinner one, I'm going to 200. And once it gets there, now I can take my thermopin and start really poking in and finding that.
Seeing that it feels right.
Right. So it's kind of a symbiotic relationship with just feeling and using your probe. So we'll utilize both of these for the cook.
So we're not saying you shouldn't use feel to cook. We know that's an important part of barbecue, but that you can use these tools to know when to start doing that.
It's good to use feel, but at the same time, I'm not going to, I spend a lot of time on these. I don't want to risk it.
Right.
And so I want to get to a certain point, and I basically just don't want to destroy the rib, is why I'm going to probe at this point. So we're going to sit here and until it's about 202, 200 degrees, and we'll come back and we'll show you how we probe.
174. See you in like 28 degrees. Okay, we've been cooking them wrapped for 30 some odd degrees. We're at 202 degrees.
Yeah. So what we're going to now is just kind of take one off. Again, I have that right here in my hand. I have got a cut glove on that kind of protects me from the heat a little bit. Just feeling this right now, it's hard because we wrapped it so tightly to really get a good feel of how that normally, when it's done, when all that fat kind of melts out, it just bends. So it's really loose. So what I'm looking for here now that we're 202, now I want to feel for tenderness. So when I'm putting the probe in, I really don't care much about what it says. I do use a ThermoPen for this, but I'm not too concerned about the temperature. What I'm feeling is like, does it feel like butter when I put it in? And it does.
Can I get the feel?
Yeah, please.
Oh yeah, yeah, except when I hit the bones.
Yeah, there's no at all. You're not, especially over here, you're gonna feel it. You're not gonna feel any resistance whatsoever. That means your ribs are done. Again, from 202 to 207, every animal's different, so every meat's gonna be different. So I do 202 in the temperature. You can do whatever you want, depending on your cooker as well. So basically temp to a certain temperature, and then you just wanna do the little feel probe. And I use my ThermoPen for that too. So this one's done, man. So let's just check the other one real quick just to make sure.
I'm just gonna eat these. No.
We're gonna let these rest, guys, for a little bit. So when all that collagen kind of breaks down, what do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Here, you're the expert.
Yeah, that's right on. Now that they're all prepped and we know that they're ready to go, I'm gonna rest them for 20 minutes. I'm not gonna keep them wrapped up like this. I will wrap them back up, but I'm gonna give them a little burp, as they call it. Kind of let that steam out. I don't want them to overcook so much, so.
So we're just gonna basically give them a second to cool off.
Yeah, and then I'll loosely wrap that up. So it kind of a little steam comes off. Yeah, just like that.
Gorgeous.
And then I'll wrap them kind of loosely. I'll let them sit like that for 20 minutes. So we'll be back in 20 minutes and we'll show you the final product.
Well, we've waited 20 minutes and let's eat some ribs.
Okay, so obviously you just want to take this bad boy out. Get some of that juice, flip it up. That's your color right there. So you're kind of looking, the color's what it is, but there's a couple ways to cut it. Some people will cut it this way, upside down, because you can really see where your bones are and get the cuts on. Some people like to cut it this way. I've even seen people set it up and cut down the bones like this. When you have a really sharp knife like this, Sean, you could probably do that very well. Personally, I'm a guy who likes to cut it this way. So let's cut a couple and see what they look like. Oh man, this knife.
Well, you got some tender meat there too. There's not a lot of resistance on it.
Honey hush. All right. So kind of feel where your bones is, and sometimes the bones will go straight and then they'll curve, just flow with that bone. I kind of start like this. I kind of see where that bone is and I'll just kind of cut in. At this last one, this one's a little dwarf bone. It's not gonna do much. It's just gonna kind of be funky. You can actually just take that bad boy out. And you have your ribs. All right, do you wanna try one?
Yeah, so let's take a look.
So you could do the squeeze test if you want. It's really juicy. I don't like the squeeze test.
Yeah, I'm not gonna squeeze any juice out of my rib.
I like juice.
So I like the ribs from the thinner end. This is the thinner end here?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I like that end here.
I'm gonna try
we've got like
one next to you.
Nice pink smoke ring in there.
That's from the pecan wood and the cherry wood.
I'm just gonna go right into that. I'm gonna. It's got an excellent bite to it.
It's juicy.
It's juicy. It's smoky.
Yeah.
Doesn't taste like an ashtray. It's not too smoked. It holds to the bone, but it comes off easily in my teeth.
Yeah, a lot of people like to fall from the bone, which is fine. If you want to do that, just overcook it, literally. Cook it at 210, 215, it'll fall off the bone. I personally like a good chew when I eat the ribs, so this one's got a good chew. So,
all right.
Good.
I'm gonna put that down. So remember, we use the thermometers to make sure we know when to wrap and to know when we want to start probing things. Use temperature to keep control of your pit, to watch how your ribs are cooking, and you're gonna have amazing ribs just like this too. Thank you so much for coming out and joining us today, Rusty. Thank you for joining us. Check out some of our other videos about how to cook food better with temperature. And Martin and Rusty signing off from ThermoWorks.
Thank you. Have a good one.